The Riven Tides update just launched, adding a highly anticipated new map, some new arc enemies, tons of new quests, new items, and quite a few other changes, some of which are, well, a bit controversial. Let's check it out. Now, I've been playing on this new map all morning, and my first impressions are, well, a little bit of a mixed bag. On the good side of the map, and this is one of Embark's strengths here, the vibe is just simply immaculate. The atmosphere of Riven Tides gives a perfect sense of being on the beach, whether it's using the new Dockmaster detector gadget to hunt for buried loot on the sandy beaches, or looting an abandoned resort hotel complete with a massive water slide. Riven Tides actually feels like being on a vacation on the beach. Well, I mean, it would, of course, if it weren't for all of the Arc trying to kill you. Unfortunately, I didn't have a match yet where this new Arc turbine shows up, but it's clear that Embark are really leaning into the Arc being a serious threat. Now, the play space does feel a bit smaller. Just about everywhere you go, there's roaming packs of heavy-duty Arc. You commonly see vaporizers and rocketeers flying around together. All the high-tier loot areas have Hornets guarding their exteriors and Shredders hovering around inside. It's actually quite dangerous and challenging to navigate this map solo, because every threat you run into could easily escalate and take you out. It actually increases your incentive to bring some stronger weapons here just to deal with the PvE threat. Now that said, maintaining stealth isn't too challenging. Most of the open areas have some sort of building or cover that you can use to avoid the Arc. I hid in a tower from a vaporizer and rocketeer combo, and it's like the tower was purpose-built specifically for that. I also used it as an opportunity to test the new crash pad item. This is a new throwable gadget that reduces fall damage, and you can jump from some really tall structures with it. There's also a new item called the Power Descender that's kind of like an anemic jetpack that slows your fall. It won't save you from an extreme drop, but it looks pretty handy from what I've seen on the game's subreddit. Now back to the map, I wouldn't call it necessarily a small map. It's on the more medium-ish size, but Riven Tides feels small. There's only a few different extraction points, so leaving the match actually starts to feel a little bit more repetitive compared to other matches. All the major buildings are in a circle around the center of the map with plenty of cover connecting them, so you can just go from one to the next. The beach itself also feels pretty small, with the out of bounds area just being a short jog offshore. And while I was expecting something, well, significantly bigger based on some of the early concept drawings, my immediate takeaway isn't just straight negative. As much as I enjoy the more open and sandboxy maps like Blue Gate and Spaceport, Riven Tides slots pretty well in between, I'd say, Buried City and some of those bigger maps. It's nice and open, but the cover makes it a little less punishing than some of the larger maps can be. And the building interiors are actually quite easy to navigate, which is a nice change of pace. It's a fun map, but I think players were expecting something more distinct based on that early concept art. I was definitely hoping to see some of those massive bridges, the bigger buildings, and a more vertical overall layout, but Riven Tides feels a bit flat. As for the PvP, well, between the map being somewhat new and people wanting to just explore it, and I'm guessing that I was refreshed into a lower matchmaking bracket, I haven't run into a single hostile player.
What's up?
Leading up to the release of Riven Tide, I was getting into as much PvP as possible. And towards the end of that crazy murder spree, all of my lobbies were full of highly aggressive players. But like I said, everyone's been quite friendly on Riven Tide so far. And personally, I think it's really fun to actually bounce between those two different states of Arc Raiders. Giving everyone a couple of days to get familiar with the new map and bang out the new quests is good to see. I'm expecting that will change, especially for players that do a lot of PvP. But for today, at least, there's practically a truce going on. It's also funny that Embark added a white flag that you can find a blueprint for and craft to wave around in matches. But once the honeymoon phase for the new map is over, it looks like it's going to be a great playground for PvP since it has so much cover, so many vertical structures like the ship cranes, and simple building interiors for quick looting and hopefully less hiding. Now, as for some of the other new content and balance changes, well, there's actually quite a lot to talk about. There's a new event called Last Resort that offers a new outfit. You can unlock the customization options by turning in the model ships you find around the map for merits to earn progression on the unlock. Regular XP also converts to merits, but the rare ship gives way more merits overall. There's also a new raider project called Avian Alarm that rewards you with new Dockmaster decor, some new cosmetic items, emotes, and 250 250 Raider tokens if you complete it. There's also some new beach-themed cosmetics in the shop. But when it comes to the actual gameplay and balance, well, there's some substantial changes as well. The highlight for me is that upgrading weapons now repairs them to 25% of their max durability. This is a huge deal because repairing weapons basically takes the same stuff that you use to craft the upgrades. Sadly though, this change is offset by a massive nerf in the durability of most weapon tiers. Embark says their goal was to increase the durability of higher tier weapons since they've become more important with all the new high threat arc enemies. But overall, it feels like people are being heavily penalized for using more common guns. Common weapons now have a 75% increase on durability loss per shot, uncommon weapons a 50% increase, rare weapons 35% increase, epic weapons a 5% decrease, and legendary weapons a 10% decrease. So basically, unless you're using epic or legendary, it's a pretty big nerf. And if you get into some heavy gunfights during a match, you could be looking at over a third of your durability gone just from a single engagement. In practice, I didn't find the changes too bad, but I also have a ton of crafting materials stored up, so it's hard to say how it's going to affect the average player. I do expect Embark to tune these visuals again, as they just honestly seem a bit too aggressive as they are right now. Now, a bright spot is that heavy ammo stacks have been increased from 40 to 60, so you'll be able to carry a lot more in both your stash and backpack. The Patina also got a pretty healthy buff, increasing its base damage and fire rate, while also improving its accuracy and damage against arc armor substantially. It always felt a bit underpowered for how rare it was, so these changes sound great. The final major change I spotted in the patch notes is the photoelectric cloak got a heavy-duty nerf. At full charge, it'll only last 10 seconds now. To the average player, this might seem like a pretty aggressive change. I think it was informed heavily by data gathered during the initial launch of the closed scrutiny map condition. Players were using the cloak like crazy to loot the arc assessors and avoid the arc vaporizers. So it feels like this nerf is targeting a balance issue with a specific map condition and not an overall imbalance. Overall, it's nice to have some new content in Arc Raiders, but I can't say I'm blown away by the Riven Tide update. I was hoping for a bit more. The new map is really nice in terms of its aesthetics, but I think it could use a bit more variety with the extracts. Comparing it to the concept art feels like a downgrade, but that doesn't mean like it's not a good map or anything. It's just tough imagining what could have been versus what we ended up getting. And I'm still looking forward to trying out the new Arc Turbine enemies that I haven't seen yet. And looking over at some of the community responses, there's a lot of people saying that the update is massively underwhelming or a huge disappointment, and while I wouldn't necessarily agree with that exact sentiment, I do think that Arc Raiders is the most impressive when they give us some massive, expansive map that just like changes our paradigm of what we can do and engage with in a world. Like, some of the bigger maps feel like true adventures when you go on them, and the smaller maps feel like nice ways to mix up that gameplay in between those bigger adventures. But I think most people were expecting something much larger, much more expansive than what we got. That said, it certainly inspired me to jump back in and play quite a bit more Arc Raiders, so I suppose the update is doing its job in that sense. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Have you played the new update? Are you enjoying Arc Raiders? Do you think more needs to change quicker, or are you happy with the pace that it's on right now? Up next, check out my recent video covering the Expanse Osiris Reborn. I'm a huge Expanse fan, but we'll have to see if this new Expanse game can live up to the massive legacy of the show and books. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.